Hi, mystery writers. Wow, what a week. I'm very excited. I have my copy of The Grain Merchant in hand, and I'm very excited about it for my new book, and I am hoping that happens to you soon with your new book. And today I wanted to talk about something important in writing craft, and that is thought verbs. Your uh, how your verbs relate to how your readers relate to your story. Um, so there's a whole category of verbs that I call thought verbs, and story is action, and verbs create action. And when your characters act, readers turn the pages. But you can slow down your readers when you go inside your character's head. Not because you're going inside their head, but because you revert to what I call thought verbs. And what are thought verbs? They are verbs you use to tell your reader what your character is thinking. And the important part of that sentence is to tell your readers what your character is thinking. So you want to avoid these verbs as much as possible. Let's look at a few of the biggies. So, thought verbs. Think, know, understand, realize, believe, want, remember, imagine, desire. Now, you want your character to do all of these things because those actions, as it were, engage your reader. But as I said before, each of these verbs and many others tell the reader. And yeah, we're back to showing versus telling. And a showing is always more engaging for your reader. So Fight Club author Chuck Palahniuk wrote about thought verbs in Lit Reactor, and he says, thinking is abstract. Knowing and believing are intangible. And your story will always be stronger if you just show the physical actions and details of your characters and allow your reader to do the thinking and the knowing and loving and hating. I love that. I love that quote. So you're going to make your writing dynamic by changing each instance of using a thought verb, know, realize, think, believe, etc., into a descriptive passage that shows through action and sensory detail. So let's look at how you go about doing that. Thought verbs often start as the premise sentence in a paragraph. A simple workaround is to remove that first sentence. Josh knew he was in trouble, for example. And then restate the premise without the thought verb at the end. So how does that work? Let's use an example. Here's the before, okay? I made these up, so bear with me. Conrad knew he was trapped. The thick iron door slammed behind him. He heard the lock fall into place. No signal to his mobile in this underground space, so he couldn't call for help. Somewhere in this dark, Jack Collins waited for his first stumbling move. Okay, Conrad knew he was trapped. So let's change that around a little and see how this all works. So we have that thought statement at the beginning. Conrad knew he was trapped. And now we're going to put it at the end. Here's how it works. The thick iron door slammed behind Conrad. He heard the lock fall into place. No signal to his mobile in this underground space, so he couldn't call for help. Somewhere in this dark, Jack Collins waited for his first stumbling move. Conrad was trapped. Okay? You see how that works? You take that. Conrad knew he was trapped, and you plunk it at the end after you give all the details. All right. So, in a more advanced technique, you can remove that thought sentence and replace it with sensory action and show the reader why that thought would be in the character's mind. So let's try this again and see how this works. Becky knew Emmy should marry Mr. Dobbins. That's why she had to show Emmy the letter. Okay, let's take that away, okay? I'm going to take that thought part away. Emmy sighed at the memory of George. His goodness lived in her heart all these years. Becky reached in her bag and pulled out her letter from George, the one she'd kept all these years. Emmy's face lit up when she saw George's handwriting, and her trembling fingers reached for the paper. She read the letter. Okay, those are just a couple of examples of how you can change those thought verb sentences into something a little more engaging for your reader. And I just want to put something in right here, right now. When you're writing, don't stop your writing flow when, he knew, he believed, he realized. Okay, keep writing. I just want to put that in there. Never let go of your writing flow. So this is something you want to do in the editing stage. And when you go through, you can just go through and do a search for each of those thought verbs and then get to work on creating a more lively passage. So you want to write detail by detail, and your reader follows each action and understands what the character knows, thinks, believes, etc., without your needing to state it, all right? So your prose is richer, your reader gets an emotional ride, and your reader may not understand why they like your story, but they will, okay? So, scout your manuscript. Improve your manuscript by searching for those thought verbs, and you can do it one by one, and scrutinize each one of those thought verb sentences and rewrite to add action detail. And when you replace the thought verbs, your story becomes stronger. It's just how it works. So replacing your thought verbs will improve your storytelling skills. Go through the manuscript for each of those 9 verbs. Search for the verb. Read the paragraph. Decide whether you want to reverse the sentence order in the paragraph or replace the thought sentence with a new action detail paragraph, and then write the new sequence. If you've been shortcutting important story information with thought verbs, you face a bracing revision in your story, but your story will be stronger with action and detail to engage your reader. So instead of telling, you'll show your readers why your character thinks, realizes, wants, or hates, okay? Mary hated Jim. Let's look at another example. Mary hated Jim. Okay. Jim sat down at the adjacent desk. Mary cringed, waiting for the next humiliating, sarcastic statement. He uttered them sotto voce, but loud enough for the 6 other people in the room to hear. Mary heard the snickers. She winced at the sardonic smile she didn't see. Today was her day for revenge. So you can see how that paragraph is much more powerful than Mary hated Jim. All right. So add details so readers have a sense of place and a sense of action and action verb. Use those action verbs to create empathy and understanding. No thought verb conveys. So get your character in conversation, and one easy way to get your character out of their head is to get them in a conversation with somebody else. Beginning writers can use alone time to get into their character's head and do this with thought verbs. John remembered the hurtful words. Clarice knew Bob was the right one for her. Mark believed he should have seen the sniper. So reactive scenes are an important element in pacing after a scene with action, but they don't need to center on your character being alone inside their head. Give your character another character, all right? Take the example above where Conrad is alone in the dark underground space. Get him talking with the opponent rather than ruminating on his fate. Okay, every time you get your character to engage with another character, you're presenting more possibilities, you're presenting more possible consequences and raising the tension. All right. So we're going to go from no to go, because once you understand how thought verbs slow down your story, you'll be eager to add detail and action. And even when writing your first draft, as soon as you use a thought verb, you know it's time to go deeper into the story. So just remember what I said before. If you can do that right away, go ahead. If you're going to stop the flow of your writing, just mark it or signal it, or just know that you're going to go back and search for all those thought verbs and really do a serious edit about going into detail and action. Okay, I hope that helps. That's a lot, but I think it's really important, and it's really going to help you make your story more vivid. Make your story more vivid. So even when your character is thinking, you're going to have the actions and the details that bring that circumstance to life for your readers. All right, thank you, and keep writing.